Hi everybody, happy Sunday. We've got the secret to how to use your cell phone in every country. It's not what you think. Stay tuned.
We're Chris and Steve, an early retired couple who sold everything to travel the world full time. We share our Nomad life, hikes, and vegan eats. Grab our book, 2 Carry-Ons and a Plan on Amazon and follow us on social. Subscribe to catch our video every Sunday.
Where are we?
We are in Da Nang, Vietnam, on the beach, having a great time. And you know what? When we landed on our plane in Vietnam, we turned on our phones and they worked great. No problem with data, no problem with connections. We were easily able to get our Grab without any worries and get to our hotel with no problems. And we're just really excited to talk about cell phones. It's a question that we get from a lot of our viewers about how we use data plans and how we use our phones so easily. And you know, I think this is the most important tool that we have. Show me your phone again. To be able to use your cell phone is just incredible as a tool as a full-time traveler, and to know that it's going to work 100% of the time is just just amazing peace of mind. So
yeah, I think I'd break out in hives thinking about if we landed and our phones didn't work, like what would we do, and how would we get out of the airport, and how would we get a taxi, and how would we know the taxi driver wasn't ripping us off, and how did we know where the hotel is? Like just talking about it, my heart goes. So this is really important to me. So if you have followed along on our story about cell phones, way back when we started, we were huge Google Fi plans. We've got a video up here about how Google Fi fired us in Mexico. The reason why we had violated the terms of their agreement, and basically it says if you're out of the country for more than, at the time it's 6 months, I think it might even be 3 months now, if you're consistently using data on Google Fi for a longer period of time, they will kick you off of Google Fi. So that happened to us while we were in Mexico, and it made us have to scramble and learn on the fly how to manage our phones without the reliable Google Fi. Now the reason why Google Fi is so good and so popular is that it just works. Everywhere you land, you turn on your phone and it works. You don't have to mix with settings. You don't have to put new SIM cards in. It would just work. So it is nice, but we also found retroactively that Google Fi is very expensive to some of the other alternatives that are out there in the world. So that's what got us looking for alternatives, and we came up with a couple of different solutions, and as a team, we use these solutions in order to make sure we both have really good data plans as we travel. So, and first we just want to address one thing that people ask us all the time. We're just going to get that right out of the way. As American citizens, we parked our phone numbers at Google Voice, which is a free service from Google. You can go to Google Voice, you can use your existing phone number or get a Google Voice phone number, and that is the phone number. It's a US-based phone number with a US area code, and you can use that phone number for all of your US-based phone needs, like your two-factor authentication, your credit card authentications, and all that. We use Google Voice. It works perfectly. Please don't ask us to tech support your Google Voice problems. Go to Google Voice for that. But Google Voice is where we use for our phone numbers.
just to reiterate, the phone number that I've had for the last 10 years is parked now on Google Voice. So if anybody from the United States or anywhere, calls me using that phone number that they've had for 10 years, my phone will ring. It's not a problem.
But the question is, have you extended your car warranty?
I do get questions about my car warranty quite frequently, and the warranty on my furnace is also something that I need to update, but that's for another video.
Anyhow, so moving past the phone number situation, we're going to talk about data. So data, of course, is that part of your phone that you use to surf, or you use to navigate, or you use to read your email, or all the fun parts of your phone. That's where the data is coming in. So Steve and I, we don't necessarily agree on how to manage your data and where to buy your data from. So do you want to go first with what you do for your data?
Well, no, I think you should talk about Flexiroam.
Okay.
Flexiroam is a service that we both use, and it's good. And there are some competitors out there, but we'll tell you about Flexiroam.
So for me, since I have breakout in absolute hives thinking about not having service on my phone in critical situations, it's very important to me that I have consistent, persistent service all the time. So there are a lot of providers out there that allow you to buy data. Now, For me, I have a Pixel 6a, and it allows me to download eSIMs. So eSIMs are electronic, or they're software versions of a SIM card. SIM card is what you put in your phone in order to receive data. I have an eSIM. I got that from Flexiroam, Flexiroam. We'll put a link down below. We do get a referral code. I think you get 100 free gig or something if you sign up with us, but please use our referral code. Anyway, what I like about Flexiroam is they have plans for every country, and they also have a global plan. That global plan covers 150 countries.
On their website, they say
150 countries.
Right. We haven't been to all of those countries, and we haven't been to a country yet where it didn't work. Right. So I'm sure there are some out there where it doesn't work.
And we have a plan for that. But with the 150 countries, what I like about Flexiroam is you buy a bunch of gigs. So I think their biggest plan is 13, it's either 11 or 13 gig, and it's good for 330 days. So a lot of SIM plans expire in 25 days or 30 days or whatever. So for me, I buy that global plan, I activate it, and it just works. I don't have, when I change countries, I just land and the phone works. I land and the phone works. I don't have to change anything. So the global plan works. It costs, they run coupons all the time, and you can get the large global plan for about $65. I think it's 11 gig, and it's good for 300 days. So I just run that on my phone, and when I run out, I buy another plan. That's what I do. It's maybe a more expensive plan than going to buy esims or eSIMs everywhere. But for me, the convenience of my phone working all the time, every country, no matter what, that is worth, the peace of mind is worth the extra cost I spend on Flexiroam. But Steve, on the other hand, I'm not going to call him a cheapskate.
I can speak for myself. I think my strategy is the best of both worlds, because I also use Flexiroam and I use the global plan, and it definitely is great when you're going from country to country. You turn on your phone as soon as you land on the tarmac, and it works, and you can find your grab or whatever you need to do. Your data your phone is working instantly. But what I'll do when we get someplace, and we're full-time travelers, and we typically are in a country or one location for about a month, is I'll casually go to the phone store and get a SIM card, a physical SIM card, and they're very inexpensive, and the plans can be really extensive. And so, for example, last month we were in Thailand. I had, for about $17, I think it might have been less, unlimited data for the entire month. And it was great because I knew that I could just, I was downloading videos and, streaming things, and it really didn't matter because I had this unlimited plan. It didn't matter how many gigs I was using. And it was really affordable. And it took me maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes to go into the place. Now, I will tell you, in most of the countries that we've gone to, the first thing that they ask you for is your passport. And I don't know if that's a security issue or it's just identification issue, but take your passport with you when you go to buy a SIM plan, a SIM card, and they do all the work for you. They open it up, they pop it out, they pop the new one in, and check it, make sure everything's working. You actually get a local phone number, although I never use it.
Some places that has been handy for other people is to have a local phone number.
It has been handy to have that local phone number, and and it's great. And I feel like I'm saving money, and I'm using really the good resource in the local community. And I'm using the local plan and not using a global plan at the time. And then when we go to before we leave the country, I switch back to my global plan with Flexiroam, and then I'm all set. I know that for the next 2 or 3 or 4 days, I'm using the global plan, and again, it works great without any kind of interruption.
So let's talk about some of the pros and cons of both these plans. So for Steve, and from my point of view, the pros and cons on his plan are the pro is it's cheaper. The con is he's got to spend time, he's got to go find a place, he's got to deal with tech support. I mean, if he has to renew the card on the fly, the information might be in a different language, he's got to translate the language, he's got to find his passport, he's got to make sure his credit card works, he's got to go through all of that. But at that expense, he gets a cheaper card. For me, on the other hand, I don't have to do all those things, but I'm paying more. Now, Flexiroam also has local plans and regional plans, and in the same situation that Steve is in, if we're someplace and we're there 25 or 30 days, I'll buy Flexiroam's local plan, When I do that, I get a new esim from Flexiroam. I have to switch my esims. It's just a switch on my phone, and I use that local plan. So, and the local plan still is more expensive than Steve's, usually more expensive than Steve's esim, or more expensive than Steve's sim, but I don't have to go to the store, find the sim, do the passport and all that stuff. Now, I have had my tech support issues, as has Steve had tech support issues, so I'm not going to say Flexiroam's been 100% perfect all the time. I have had my moments with Flexiroam. It's nice that they have tech support through WhatsApp, so that's very convenient. But in general, 95% of the time, I'm pretty happy with my Flexiroam experience. Now, we were just recently in Thailand, and we were at a hotel, and the hotel had Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi was terrible. Absolutely awful. We couldn't we could barely do a single thing. So in that case, we both had to use data on our phones. Well, it didn't make sense for me to sit in a hotel and use my data, which is more expensive than Steve's data. So I just hotspotted my phone to Steve's unlimited plan, and in the hotel room, we were fine. Now, the reason why, although I guess you could, one person buys a plan and the other person hotspots to that plan, you could certainly do that, but that requires that you have to be together all the time, or the distance of your hotspot works with the phone. Steve and I often go apart, or I'll go out for a walk and he'll stay home, or I'll get up in the morning and go out for a cup of coffee and he stays home. Yeah. Those situations aren't going to work for us. And we're not trying to do the cheapest cell plan phone possible. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to set data at a convenience that works for both of us, and we're willing to pay for that.
Right. It needs to be at a convenient level. It needs to be convenient for both of us. It needs to work all the time. That's, I think, is the key thing, is that we want to have that 100% uptime and not have to worry about, again, landing on a tarmac and turning your phone on, and you don't have that country's SIM card, so your phone's worthless basically until you can find a SIM card. And who wants to do that in the airport? I know a lot of people do. So I know a lot of people that are watching this video.
And the SIM cards in the airport are often more expensive than the SIM cards outside the airport too.
Right. Mm-hmm. So it's great to have that, for me, to have that global plan when I need it, and to be able to have that local SIM card for when it's more convenient. So,
and also we want to make the point of Steve's phone does not, although you just got an upgrade on your phone, I think, does not support eSIM. So he's had to use physical SIMs and go get physical SIMs. But I do think eSIMs are the wave of the future for sure. So if you are looking at upgrading your phone, or thinking about making a better decision about your phone if you're about to launch into some world travel, make sure you're getting a phone that's got eSIM capabilities. Wouldn't you say so?
I would say so. And I would also say, please subscribe. I know if you're gotten to this point of the video, it means you love our content, and we love you being here, and we appreciate your viewing this video and all our other videos. So please subscribe, get that notification so that when we have a new video, you'll know.
And do us a favor. We know a lot of people watch our videos who aren't subscribers. Would you do us a favor, just this one chance, log in and go ahead and subscribe, because we really are trying to get our subscription numbers up, so that we know who's watching us and what content works for people. We want to improve our channel, and when you subscribe and you like that, that gives us the data we need to figure out how to improve our channel for you. We love you guys. See you next Sunday. Thanks a bunch, and get that data plan going. Talk to you soon.
Peace.